Hello everybody, it's me Laura again, and today I'd like to warmly welcome you to a soft-spoken video game ramble. So as some of you may remember, I made a video game ramble quite a few years ago now on this channel, and in that video I discussed the games that I was playing at the time. Now in this video today, I'll be making a video game ramble with all the wonderful sticky fingers from that video. And in this video, I'll be going over the games that I have previously played, I'm currently playing, the games I'm anticipating, and the games I want to play but I haven't got around to yet. Okay? There will also be some guests in this video, little plushy guests that I recently got and figured that some of you might be interested in. They will have a video of their own, but that's a whole other story and that's a whole other video. So, sit back and relax as I give you this soft-spoken video game ramble. Okay. So, the first game I have to show you today is Dragon Quest Builders. I started playing this game and finished it about mid last year. It was around release day. And this game, for those of you that aren't familiar with Dragon Quest or Dragon Quest Builders, is basically Minecraft, but in a JRPG format. This is lively and colourful and family friendly, and it's charming, and it's full of nostalgia from the early Dragon Quest games. I'll explain a little bit more about the actual Dragon Quest normal series as we progress through this video, but this one has been described by critics as Minecraft for people that do not like Minecraft. I myself am not a fan, but I am a huge fan of this game. So the basic premise of this game is you break up the land for a bunch of people whose town has been destroyed by monsters. And there are 5 chapters, and in those 5 chapters you make new towns that satisfy the needs of all the people there. And in those 5 chapters they progressively become harder. Bigger towns, harder monsters. This is truly a delight, and could easily be about 100 hours of wonderful, really cute gameplay. I was tempted to make an ASMR gameplay video from this game because, kind of like Minecraft, it's almost therapeutic. Building your own town and home, and it's a very charming game. For those of you that are unfamiliar with Minecraft or you don't play JRPGs, I would recommend this one as your starting point. This is really much better than I expected. I played the demo of this on release day and bought it pretty much the next day. It has all the classic monsters from the first Dragon Quest and all the games up to it, up to this one. It has the classic trolls, cyclops. It has slimes and she slimes and metal slimes, and it's just a charm. And it's so full of exploration. I have kind of a high standard when it comes to open world games now. I feel like if you're going to present the player an open world game, don't make invisible walls at the drop of a hat. It defeats the purpose of an open world experience. This game has very limited invisible walls. It really is an exploration game, and it's really wonderful, and this was one of my favorite games of last year. With simulators and build your own games, they don't ever come with a story typically, but this one is delightful and surprising, and it's full of story, and the character build up is just enough before you move on to the next chapter and the next set of people to take care of. You sympathize and empathize with the characters, and it truly is a wonderful game to play. It's very easy to get into. It can seem daunting at first, but you know how with some games it takes a few hours to get into it? This doesn't. This is immediate fun, and it's not a stressful game at all. It's just difficult enough to actually test your capabilities, but not enough to make you throw the controller at the wall. Which quite a few games do. So I would very much highly recommend this game. I'll show you a little bit. This was the day 1 edition, so it came with the Springtide Sprinkles recipe, the Slimy Block recipe, and the Gold Block recipe. You can make all sorts of buildings and wonderful features in this game. You can make cottages, ice homes, castles. You can make them quite quaint and cozy. So I would highly recommend this to people who want to get back into Dragon Quest or want to give it a go for the first time. Now, I don't have the cases for all the games that I've played for numerous reasons, but the next game I want to talk about is Dragon Quest Heroes. Dragon Quest Heroes, again, is a cut-off subgenre of the true Dragon Quest series, just like Builders. I don't have the case for that one, but Dragon Quest Heroes follows the basic principle of the Dragon Quest series, finding the Dragon Lord and attempting to overcome. Now, Dragon Quest Heroes really is one of those games that does take a couple of hours or so to get into. It can seem tedious at times, but it doesn't quite have that flavor as this charming game does to begin with. But Dragon Quest Heroes is like a combination of Ni no Kuni, which I have expressed on several occasions that I adore that game, and Dynasty Warriors. Once you played one Dynasty Warriors, you played them all. But I love games which have a million side quests. I like those types of games. That's how I would describe Dragon Quest Heroes. Very simple story, very simple. I would say this game has a much better story than that one does. The voice acting is quite bad in that game. You have to be able to enjoy the voice of the main character you're playing as. And you have 2 choices of a main character in Dragon Quest Heroes, and both of them are quite annoying to listen to. I digress. That game is also very fun, and it doesn't feel like a grinding experience because you have to level up to progress through the game. It doesn't feel like a grinding experience at all. There are some games that are unnecessarily slow and laborious at times, but that one it's just a nice, pleasant playthrough. It's the one I'm currently playing. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm on the way there. And that's the type of game I'll play again and again. It's a very simple RPG. It has the exact same music as the old games, and it also has throwbacks to one of my favorite games, which is Dragon Quest Journey of the Cursed King, or number 8. And it has Jessica and Yangus from those games. So for those of you that don't know, Dragon Quest has a very deep and personal connection to me. I love the series of games, and I have loved Dragon Quest since number 8. It sounds like I've not liked it for a long time, but most people's introduction to Dragon Quest is through Journey of the Cursed King. It was a wonderful gaming experience, and one of my earlier gaming experiences. To some people, they will know this game as Dragon Warrior. It's what it was known as in different countries. But Dragon Quest VIII is one of those games that I would go back and play over and over and over again. And I think a game that makes you want to go back and play it purely for trophies and outside of story or gameplay, I think the game's failed at that point. I truly do. There have been several games like that that I've played, and I've wondered to myself, why am I still playing this? Of course, PlayStation 2 games had no trophies, so you played it for the thrill of it, you traded it back in. That really is one of those games I would go back and play over and over and over again. It's a beautiful game. And if you're going to start anywhere with Dragon Quest, start with 8. I think it's a beautiful game, and you can work backwards or forwards from there. In the conversation of anticipating video games, Dragon Quest Heroes 2, I believe, is out now. And I would like to play that one too. I know that one's been out in Japan for a long time now. Okay, so enough with the Dragon Quest rambling. I'm going to move on now to my next game. Okay, so my next game I have to ramble about today is Destiny, the Taken King, which I know is an extension of the original game. I played Destiny for a couple of months, maybe 3, sometime last year, and it was fun at first. I played it right up to when the new DLC came out last year, and I found it to be pretty fun. The story was really, really fun of this game. But then I found online mode to be quite repetitive. Very much repetitive. Wanting to upgrade your character is wonderful, but the way that the system works to do raids online is so difficult. I tried one game of setting up about 6 to 8 random people on a raid, and that was one of my funniest gaming experiences because I was a noob to raids, and there were 4 other people that were new to it, and the rest of the people were very professional at it, and it was a very chaotic experience. And that was the first and final time that I did a raid online. That is, I think, one of the weaknesses of this game, is that it takes itself way too seriously. If you just play the story, you're good to go. But you can't even do that with this game. This game makes you even play some of the missions online. So you really can't get out of getting PSN with this. You're pretty much forced to, even on single player mode. My favorite online mode of this was capture. Love capture. I think that was an even playing field for all the levels on the game. It's been a while since I played this now, but this game is kind of fun. I really don't like, though, that every time this game releases a new expansion pack, first off, you have to buy it, and second of all, to anybody that was playing any of the previous expansion packs online, like Capture, they disappear, and you can't play them again. You have to get the new DLC in order to progress forward. It's one of those games that just needs to calm down and give everybody a fair chance. The actual game design is beautiful though on this game. I really enjoy it. I enjoyed the game and I'd happily play it again. I was a hunter. A human hunter. And the character design is beautiful. Costume design is also beautiful. The community system is amazing. And I know not all raids have to be all 8 people on your friends list or any of those specific details, but it would be helpful if that were the case. If you could just find randomers online. Because setting up the raid, if you don't have those amount of people, can take longer than actually doing the raid. But for general, just online exploration, it's a fantastic game. You could kill plenty of hours with this game. There's not really much more to say on this, other than if you have the old expansions, so I know that Destiny 2 is on its way sometime in the future, and I'll most likely be playing that when it comes down in price, or to combat all of my problems with the game, wait until they finished every single expansion pack, and then purchase it, and then play it. So that I can enjoy the story for what it is, and then enjoy online mode for what it is, without having to worry about not being able to play it. So would I recommend this game? Maybe. Take it or leave it. Now the next game I wanted to briefly talk about is Resident Evil 7, and the reason I don't have the case for that one is because I traded it in about as quickly as I got it. That game got really good reviews, but to people that have enjoyed the Resident Evil series for a long time, like myself, Resident Evil series is one of my all-time favorite series of games. That game was diabolical. That was really bad. That was just what I've always referred to as a really expensive VR test. And VR is great, but I don't have the VR kit, so to me it was very dull. Really dull, in fact. The general game presence and the story was kind of cheesy, but graphically a stronger improvement from the previous games. But I just simply did not enjoy that game. There was no story, and it felt like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 7. it felt very dry. And if you are a big Resident Evil fan and have not yet played that, I would say just pass and wait for them to make an actual game. That game is fun if it's not a Resident Evil game. You could name it anything else. You could literally name it Spooky Game 7, and that would make more sense than Resident Evil because there is no throwbacks to any of the Resident Evil games, not even a sub-Resident Evil game. It was very disappointing. The monsters were interesting though, they were pretty scary. But there were just too many things that felt like a movie I'd seen, game I'd already played. So that to me was very disappointing. I'm excited for the remasters they're gonna make though. I know they're working on Code Veronica, so I'm excited for that. But to those of you that have never played any Resident Evil games before, it's an actually wonderful experience for new players of the game. So that was my probably biggest disappointment in gaming for last year. So, I'm going to briefly mention those plushie guests we were talking about. I have been a big fan of Blizzard for a long time. I have really enjoyed a lot of the games that they have created. Diablo 3 to me is a wonderful game, and I've been playing it now for almost 2 years, on and off. And recently, Blizzard had a sale on their website, a fantastic sale. It's about 50% off the Diablo and the Warcraft and Starcraft collections. So I got a lot of plushies. I mean a lot of plushies, which I'll be doing an entirely separate video on, but this is a treasure goblin, and when you find these in Diablo 3, it is a fun experience because you never know what they're gonna drop. And when you do happen to beat one, they do this. They die. It's just the way it goes. The website had alive treasure goblins and dead treasure goblins. So, I figured I would throw these in here just to let you know that I really love Diablo 3 and it's one of my favorite gaming experiences. I love Whimsyshire and I really love finding the treasure goblin kingdom and whooping these guys and seeing what they drop. That's pretty much all I had to say on Diablo 3. I think that's all I need to say. Yeah, expect a fabric scratching and general Blizzard style video in the near future with these. So yeah. Anyway, swiftly and seriously moving on. A couple of games I'm anticipating and I'm very excited for are Crash Bandicoot and Last of Us 2. Now I know Last of Us 2 isn't coming anytime soon, but there will be an E3 announcement of that coming in June and I'm very excited for that. I saw the trailer for the second one a few months ago and it's beautiful and I'm so excited for it and I hope they don't do anything wrong to it because it was done so well. The first one, I've already mentioned Last of Us in its own video in my last video game ramble, but that is a game I'm very excited for. And Crash Bandicoot, I'm also really looking forward to because that is my childhood in a nutshell, pretty much. That game was full of really fun times and experiences for me, and I played most of them up to PS2. They got kind of weird after that. It was PS3. But they were so fun and so difficult, and I loved the general game style and theme of each level and mission on that, so that'll be coming out May or June, and I'm really excited for that too. I'm actually really curious what games you are most looking forward to. I figured I would ask. Now, there have been other games that I've played since last year, including Final Fantasy 15, which was an okay game. But the one game that I must talk about, and I feel slightly regretful that I left it for the end of the video today, but I gotta mention it, is Horizon Zero Dawn. It is one of the greatest games I've ever played. It's made by Guerrilla Games, and I played it this year when it came out, and I didn't see a trailer on it. I did nothing on it. I saw just this quick 5-second clip of someone playing it on Facebook. I immediately got it on digital, which is why unfortunately I don't have the game on me. I figured we just finish with some soft rambling. That game is beautiful. It is so well put together. Granted, it has its negatives, which I'll go into, but as a whole, that game is amazing. And out of every game today that I have discussed, if I said to you, you must play one of them, play Horizon. It's beautiful. It is so wonderful to play. With all the side quests and things intact, I about beat the game in about 55 hours. The reason why I truly admire that game is for its integrity. Let's face it, many games now are asking you to buy 2,000 extra DLC costumes, and they're asking you to buy several new expansion packs and pieces of DLC, and then they come with online multiplayers that you just don't care for, or they take away from what the story and actual gritty content is. Last of Us, Batman, that's just my opinion. It has no online mode yet, and it has no DLC yet, but that game is heavenly, and it's warm, and it's insightful, and the main character is an inspiration to girls and boys, men and women alike, and the character is likable in the first 5 minutes, and you watch her grow from being a child to an adult, and seeing how their life isn't always successful, and life isn't always good, and life isn't always depressing and sad either. It has this nice healthy balance of being independent and relying on the help of others. It teaches a lot of things throughout the game. However, I must say something negative apparently about every game, but however, that game was getting lazy near the end of the game. You could tell that they were rushed. Limited amount of weapons that you could change back and forth from. It seemed really lazy in that department. You became max level before you were max level, so you had all the best things in the game and all the purples and all the best weapons long before you could be your max level, and that was disappointing because it didn't make the last fight too much of a struggle or too hard, so I found that to be a little bit disappointing. I figured if they just had another year or so on it, they could have really tied up those errors and problems with the game. A lot of people said they had problems with climbing in the game. It's basically a climbing game. I didn't. I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the mechanical dinosaur and animal aspect to the game too. That was beautiful to watch. I really liked that. But in summary, I like the game because it doesn't rely on DLC. It doesn't rely on online multiplayer. It doesn't rely on even local multiplayer. That could be an interesting runoff from that. You don't see enough local multiplayer games anymore. On PlayStation or Xbox at least. But yeah, in summary, that game is really, really good. If you ask just about anybody that's played it, they'll recommend it to you. Give it a go. Just trust me. If you've played a game that you've liked from my recommendation before, go ahead with that one too. I promise it's great. There is so much DLC I would like from it, from characters they didn't develop enough on, backstory of all characters, and I really like the ending. I won't mention anything. I won't spoil anything. You deserve to have the experience for yourself. It's a very intellectual game too. It's very believable, and it's full of integrity and respect for what I believe a video game should be, and the roots of a video game. They're not always trying to milk you for money or extras or things you don't really care for. The game has its negatives, like I said, and it also had a really significant glitch, which stopped me from platinuming the game. But they patched that within 5 days or so. If any of you have faced that, by the way, the glitch I'm talking about is talking with Talana on the mountain. But the developers of the game are very wonderful people too. Very wholesome, and they have very good morals, and they stand very much what seems to be a non-corporate standing in the gaming community. They just are a really good bunch of people who made a really wonderful game. And I can't wait to see what they make in the future for that game. Give it a go. You might like it, you might not. But I bet you will. Anyway, this has been my video game ramble for these past few months and even past year. I hope that you liked this video today and found some relaxation from it. I've been quite buzzy, but I hope that hasn't deterred from any tingles you may have received. Thank you so much for watching this video today, and please stay tuned for more video game rambles I'll be doing in the future. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you very, very soon.